Welcome to Subramani. I'm going to talk about dividend investing, and I'm doing a series of videos on that. So this could be the earlier part. Dividend investing is gaining popularity, and it is extremely popular in the US. I will be giving you examples from the US. Companies like Johnson and Johnson and McDonald's have longish. Johnson Johnson has a 50-year track record. McDonald's has a 35-year track record, and there are some similar companies with such a long track record that people believe that it will just keep going on. In India also, you can build a dividend paying portfolio or a good dividend yield portfolio right from your young age. So in your young age, let's say you are 25 and you buy NTPC or ONGC or Coal India, something like that with a good dividend yield. What you should do with the dividend is, of course, now after paying tax, you should buy more of the same share. So you bought 100 shares of Coal India, you got dividend, or let's say you bought 1000 shares of Coal India, you got 21,000 rupees as dividend. So the price now is 210, you go and buy another 1000 shares, right? Or you buy another 100 shares. So similarly, you keep plowing it back. Dividend is the reward of sitting tight, doing nothing and holding equity for long periods of time. It's very important for people to know that when you're building your portfolio, you build a proper portfolio. You look at good companies with good prospects, good products, selling well, good margins, good ROC, good RONW, and dividend yield. Don't just go for dividend yield saying, oh, this company is a great dividend yield. It may not sustain in the future, right? Or you may get scared because the share price may fall, right? When you have done enough research about a company, the advantage is you will have more guts to buy when the price falls. So when the price falls, you look at it as an opportunity to add rather than worry about, oh my God, now what will happen? Another advantage for dividend concentrated people or investors is you can really not worry about the day-to-day fluctuation. Dividends are more stable and more predictable than capital gains. So here is a portfolio which will help you in your retirement. So when you are in your 20s and 30s, if you build a portfolio, use the dividends to buy more of that same share because you have done your research. You think Coal India is a great share for the next 10-15 years, or NTPC is a great share, or Colgate is a great share, PNG is a great share, and you've been holding. But for that, you have to have your own criteria saying, I will not buy unless the dividend yield is at least 2%. When it is 12%, you don't even have to think twice. When it is 7%, you don't have to think twice. So that is the time when you are accumulating. So first 30s, 40s, 50s, you are accumulating. In your 60s and 70s, the same dividend can be used for your day-to-day expenses, right? Now you need not add to your portfolio. You have to live your portfolio. You have to use your portfolio to create. You've created the dividend income stream. You know how to buy a share. You bought the best shares. Those shares were not giving you great yields when you bought it. It was giving you 2% or 2.5%, which is not too great in a country with 7% inflation. But over 30 years, on your cost, you are now getting 25% kind of dividend yield. No, that is obviously, that is too high. But what happens is you have accumulated shares, then you kept on buying every year, right? You use the dividend reinvestment. In US, it's called DRIP, dividend reinvestment plan, where you can say, I don't want money, give me shares. So if you got 1,000 shares, there's a 10% dividend. Effectively, you will get about 100 shares, right? So next year you will get maybe 110 or 120. So you keep on getting equity shares instead of dividend. You accumulate, and at some stage when you are say 65 and retired, you say, okay, now I don't want any dividend. I don't want any more shares. Start paying me dividends, because that dividend is going to become your income stream. The advantage of having dividend as an income stream is that you are not worried about the fluctuation of the share price. Second, you are not worried about how much of equity to sell and how much of debt to sell. Here is an assurance that if your annual expenses are 5 lakhs, you are getting 10 lakhs of dividend. You are assured that next 10-20 years is taken care of, because dividend will increase at a rate greater than inflation. So even when your expenses increase, it will be met with higher dividend. You really don't have to do anything great for it. So building this portfolio, however, is a long-term process. So let me stick to the international examples. Johnson and Johnson, 50-year dividend track record, currently 3.6% yield. Not bad at all, considering that the US gilt is only at 4.5. So, and it will not grow, right? I'm not saying 4.5 is good or bad, but I'm saying 4.5 compared to 3.6, definitely Johnson & Johnson's with a 50-year track record seems to be good. They have McDonald's with 35-year track record. They have Philip Morris, which is a tobacco company. So if you're worried about ESG, maybe you will not buy Philip Morris, but Philip Morris also has a longish track record. So these are all companies with 20-30 year track records. Chances are things may not go wrong. However, when you're buying, you have to be very careful about diversification. So you can't fill your portfolio with only PSUs, saying PSUs have a very high dividend payout, which is true. So your ONGC, NTPC, BPCL, HPCL, Coal India will all have high dividend yield. So if you create a portfolio with just these shares, imagine the risk that you run. First, it's a total PSU portfolio. Second, it's a pure energy portfolio. You cannot do this. You need to have some bit of shares which are currently low dividend yield, but over 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, it will go into very good dividend yield on the basis of your cost, not on the basis of market price. You're building it now. So maybe you're in your 30s. So buying a Colgate or a P&G or 3M may not look attractive at all from a retirement point of view, but then you're not retiring now. After 10 years, this will be good dividend yield shares on your cost. Market price may have appreciated, so your denominator will appreciate, therefore your dividend yield may look good, may not look good, but that doesn't matter because your cash flow of dividends will be very high. So you build a portfolio of very good solid companies where you think it is going to sustain. Also in this, what will happen is you will buy some shares which are trying to establish themselves in the country. For example, an Indigo or a SpiceJet or a Zomato or Nykaa, any of these shares, right? So you will build that also in your portfolio, not because they are dividend yield companies now, but they are growth companies, and one day when their growth stops or when their need for cash stops, chances are they'll pay it out as dividend. All of the big companies have done that. Microsoft, Apple, all of them, when they needed the money, they used it, they plowed it back, and afterwards when they don't have enough ideas as to what to do with the money, or they run out of ideas, then they start paying out high dividend. Now one exception to this is Berkshire Hathaway. Warren Buffett talks about dividends as a very important stream of income. True for him, but he does not pay dividend. His logic is very simple. I don't want to plan your cash flows. Whenever you need money, you can go and sell the share in the market, right? Nobody stops you from selling the Berkshire Hathaway share. So whenever you have money, you buy it. Whenever you need money, you sell it. That's how he thinks you should treat. So he does not create a dividend income stream for you. But for him, dividend income is a very important portion of his portfolio. Not just growth, but also dividend, because dividend also gives far more stability than capital gain, right? So capital gain is more worrisome. Then you have to time the market and say, oh, market is high, let me sell some equity, put it into bucket number 1, which is debt. You have to do all that. But if you have a dividend portfolio and a dividend income is let's say 2x your annual expenses, then you are taken care of for life. That is what is called a perpetual portfolio. You will never run out of money in your retirement. Thank you.